ideas that is she is modern. Another important factor is that I am talking about the contemporary literature. A good friend of mine, that is Dr. C.L. Khatri, Chotilal Khatri from Patna, recently he released one book, that is poetry collection, and the title of that poetry collection is Ripples in the Lake. Before that, he brought out, that is Kargil. In that Ripples in the Lake, he puts, it means how the writer's mind that is behaving in the society. I quote the few lines. I am oscillating like a pendulum. I am oscillating like a pendulum, of to be or not to be, of to be or not to be, to live or not to embrace or not to. That's what the mindset, that's what the picture in the society. I am not talking about the Indian literature, but entirely overall, the South Asian literature society. We find that there is the class struggle, again the issue of race, creed and ethnicity is there. In 2003, Nayanthara Sehgal, that is, she brings out one novel, that is Mistaken Identity. In that mistaken identity, she has focused on the religion-based issues. It means that how the Hindu marries to Muslim, how the Muslim marries to, that is Christian. All these factors, but her intention is very clear. It means that to formulate the national identity. Friends, again, one of the resource persons already mentioned about, it means that Kamala Das, her, that is poetry, the old playhouse and other poems. It means that I can write in 3 languages. I can, that is, talk in or in 2 languages, and I can dream 1 language. I want to skip here. After that, my focus is on particularly the contemporary literature, because these are all stalwarts, and maybe you have studied Shobha De. Whenever we are talking about the Shobha De, she writes good English, but sometimes I also feel that whether she writes in English or not, because that is the mixture of Hindi, English, Hindi plus English, that is Hinglish. Oh my God, Jani bhi do hai. Hinglish. I also, it means that, wrote 2 papers particularly on, that is Shobha De's, that is novel Starry Nights, entitled Bed as Battlefield. How she shows the battlefield, how she, it means, puts the bed as battlefield, and there is the battle between the 2 sexes, of course, that is between the 2 genders. And another, I also wrote 1 paper, and the title is Sex for the Sake of Sex. I published, that is a couple of years ago, in, that is, a reputed journal. She mentions that sex is the bedrock of life, doesn't matter. But why she wants to, that is, to make sublime or sublimization of that sex? You know that. She used, you know that, against the backdrop, the Hindi picture, that is, industry is there, high class society is there, and all these things are there. Another important factor is that Chambia, D.C. Chambia, the editor of, that is, your well-known journal, Poetry from Maranda, Himachal Pradesh. He also brought out many collections. He coined many Indian words like Agastya, Savitri, Sita, Ram, Shakti, Lakshmibai, Manu, Bhavani, Arjun, Buddha, Yama, Krishna, Dhuni, Tandava, Damru, Satyam, Shivam, Sundaram, Trishanku, Brahmastra, Dhyana and Kama. I think that Today, some of the words maybe it means we find in that is dictionaries also, but here it means it means that is advert friendly, that he wants to make Englification of Indian words. That is Englification, I-N-G-L-I, Englification of Indian words. Recently, I have gone through one article by one gentleman, Mr. that is Belda, Chutnification of English in India. Chutnification, chutney, mixture of many menus, etc. Chutnification. Most of the friends of mine from that is Western countries, they also contacted me and they asked me that, sir, what's the term is? Really it means we also appreciate that. The fact is that, friends, I think that Chambial is the true representative of the Indian culture, or particularly the South Asian literature. Another, the best-selling author, that is Chetan Bhagat, who writes about the generation next. He has brought out many bestsellers. Again, number of issues are there. Economic issues there. You know that how the rupee is going down, how we are, it means feeling instability. The political issues are there. Geographic issues are there. And another important fact is that, friends, we are thinking about the South Asian literature and culture. There are so many factors, and I think that the foremost importance should be given to the Mahatma Gandhi. No one can deny the influence of Mahatma Gandhi over the South Asian literature and culture. Because right from that is pre-independence movement till this date, right from your that is Martin Luther King, Barack Obama, Nelson Mandela, Dalai Lama, and even today Anna Hazare, most of the social activists as well as writers, they have taken the inspirations from Mahatma Gandhi. Maybe there are diverse views are there. Some people it means love Gandhi or Gandhi's philosophy. Maybe some people hate. But it is quite important that we cannot, it means, ignore the Gandhi. Friends, due to the constraint of time, it is that rightly I am coming to the conclusion. Most of the regional issues are there. You know that. That also makes a lot of influence over the mind of the writers. But what is the duty of the South Asian writers? How we can bridge the gap? That is, in the morning session, one of paper presenters, it means raised the question regarding that is who will bridge the gap. I think that is the responsibility of the writers. Only writer can bridge the gap through his brain, through his pen, through his mentality. Friends, once again, I am thankful to Dr. Sudhir Nikam, Dr. Malvi Nikam, and the entire team for giving such kind of honor and having invitation to me here to be among you. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Now I invite the chairperson of this session, Dr. Mukta Mahajan, to give a concluding address.
Dr. S.S. Kanade and dignitaries of the dais. As a chairperson, I am supposed to speak. But you know, when you are in front of mic, a dumb person turns great orator. And I am a teacher and that again a woman. And I don't want to test your patience in the concluding session. So I prefer to read my write-up. I hope you will not mind it. First of all, I express my sincere gratitude to the organizers for inviting me to chair this session. Dr. Kannade has taken exhaustive review of the theme of this conference in his presentation, and I congratulate him for his scholarly presentation. I am also sure that during the conference days, the deliberations on the sub-themes might have stimulated the budding researchers to search new vistas of research. The very purpose of such conferences is and must be to aspire the teachers and students to delve deep into the new oceans of research areas. In this regard, I think Asian literatures is a productive ground for new research. Some of the sub-themes of the conference invite your attention to the newly emerged literatures. I am calling it literatures because I am speaking about literature written in English by South Asian writers. That's why I am using the term literatures. And along with them, newly emerged possibilities such as emergence of post-colonial South Asian identity, South Asian and Western literatures and cultures, a comparative study. As a researcher of comparative study of literature, I locate some commonness among all Asian literatures, particularly South Asian literatures. All South Asian literatures have rich legacy of oral literatures, tradition, philosophy, history, religion, and pre-colonial knowledge societies. Journey of South Asian countries from pre-colonial knowledge societies to post-colonial situation goes on the same track. The earliest literary phase of all these literatures are enriched with the influence of their scriptures, mythology, to their respective languages. Asian writers' awareness about Western society, culture, and literature paved path for modernity in Asian literatures. In a way, colonial period proved itself a boon for Asian societies that led Asian people towards self-awareness, identity, and revolutionary writing. Introduction of British education system also exposed Asian scholars to the vast world of knowledge, and the journey of Asian scholars to Britain and America for the purpose of education caused emergence of expatriate diaspora writers who were and are endowed with multilinguality and multicultural perspective. But like English writers writing about Asian countries, diaspora writers who wrote about their respective native countries are somewhere responsible for projecting the other than real image of their countries to Western audience. Another important gift of colonial rule to Asian countries is the rise of post-colonial writers. Post-colonial writers ardently discussed issues like marginality, subalterns, gendered subalterns, identity, migration, forced migration, rewriting history, etc. The themes like migration, colonial heritage, alienation, identity, realism, modernity, impact of globalization, cultural conflict, mongrelized culture, collapsing of social institutions, emergence of new values, exploration of new centers, going away from stereotypes are common ingredient of South Asian literatures. This discussion leads to another interesting aspect, that is, how far comparative study of literature is relevant in post-colonial period. The reason for the rise of comparative study of literatures are well known. Emphasis of post-colonial writers on identity is also well known. But theorists like Gayatri Chakravarti Spivak see better possibilities of comparisons in post-colonial writing. Rather, I would like to say that diaspora writing and post-colonial writing have enlarged the purview of areas of comparative study of literature. H. remarks all-covering definition of comparative study of literature underlines the wide scope of the discipline. According to him, it is not only comparison between literature and literature, that is the function of comparative study of literature, but also literature as one form of expression and other forms of expression. Postmodern, diaspora and post-colonial literature consist of some unique features like interdisciplinarity, experimentation in form and style, amalgamation, and emergence of new literary theories. All these aspects enrich the texture of comparative study of literature. The broad areas that consist of comparison, such as reception and influence, thematology, genre studies, literary movements, sources, myths, archetypes, folklore, and translation, invite inter and intra-comparisons in Asian literatures. And I have attempted to cite few research possibilities, area-wise and writer-wise, as well as literature-wise. And it was a suggestion of Dr. Nikam to suggest few research areas for the budding researchers here, and that's why I have attempted it. Under the title, Reception and Influence, we can follow these points. Introduction of British education system brought the native scholars of Asia in contact with Western culture and literature, which resulted into innumerable translations. Reception and influence of Western literature through translation in South Asian countries is an important area for research. Even impact, reception of translated South Asian literatures in South Asian countries cuts a different slice of comparison. Under the title of thematology, we can compare various themes handled by South Asian writers in different literary phases, exchange and handling of different themes by South Asian writers, new perspective of old themes like identity in post-colonial context is a challenging area for comparison. Under the title of genre study and translation, broad comparison can be done among different genres practiced by South Asian writers, as well as experimentation by them can be studied. Research can be done regarding emergence of new genres in South Asian literatures because of translations from English into South Asian languages. Comparison between translation from English to South Asian languages and vice versa is also one more aspect for comparison. In the area of literary movements, we can accommodate a variety of comparisons, such as comparisons among the earliest literary phases in South Asian literatures, feminism in Sri Lankan English literature and Indian English literature, comparison between reasons for the rise of modernity in South Asian literatures, comparison between Dalit writing in India and literary movements like poetry of discarded community and poetry of hunger in Nepali literature. In the area of sources, myths, archetypes and folklores, South Asian literatures are blessed with a rich repository of myths. The myths recurrently appear in the literatures many times, crossing the borders of the countries or using the native versions of the myths. The South Asian writers exemplify the likeness of wise minds across borders and beyond time. Reflection of Buddhism and Jataka stories in Sri Lankan literature, Indian literature and Nepali literature is a challenging area for research. And now we will talk about some specific areas for comparative research, such as theme of partition handled by Pakistani writers like Mohsin Hamid and Indian English writers like Khushwant Singh. Comparison between expatriate novelists from Pakistan like Adam Zamindar, Nadim Aslam and Indian writers like Bharti Mukherjee. Theme of exploitation as reflected in the poems of Nepali poets and in